are talking about construction, transparency, accountability. Imagine those words in the world of construction. So today on my podcast, I have the most amazing guest. I probably say that every single time because I'm so intrigued by people, and especially people that are like this Mr. Paul Davis, so brilliant and humble, and has such a wide variety of experience in the industry, and he knows the ins and outs. I met him on our Vistage group, and I'm like, hey, Paul, I want to get on your calendar. And I have forgotten that I made this appointment. So I'm driving down the road and Paul calls in. He's like, I don't know, you made this appointment. Why am I calling? I'm like, okay, wait, sorry. Tell me again what I did. So anyway, we became, I would say, instant friends. Would you say that's true, Paul?
I would
Just
say
say yes.
that's true.
Yeah. So anyway,
It's
then
scary.
well, it is scary. Yeah, we have a lot of like minds, and then we met for lunch in a 3-hour drive. We went to Joplin and met and laughed for I don't even know how long. And so I asked him to be a guest on my show. So welcome, Paul. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day. So give everyone a quick background on the majesty of you.
Okay. I spent about 40 years in the AEC industry, architect, engineer, construction industry. And in that time frame, I did just about every job there is. I started as a ditch digger and plumber's helper and worked my way up to CEO of an international construction management firm. In that time, probably the last 20 years of my career, I was a turnaround expert for projects that had gone south and were in trouble. And during that time, I also went to law school and got a law license and did construction law and pretty much every aspect, subcontractor, a supplier, a general contractor, construction manager, owner's rep, just about everything you could be in the industry.
All around wise guy is what we call people like you. You've been there, done that, and you cannot be, I think the word is BS'd, right? Can't BS Paul.
I would say my BS meter is pretty sensitive and can peg pretty easily.
Yeah, I think it's a 10. So what's amazing, Paul, we did a white paper on the $1 billion disaster in Las Vegas. And we're like, look, we could have prevented this. What are you people doing? And then you were involved in that project, right? In the whole trying to disseminate what all happened, right?
Are we speaking of City Center and Harmon Tower?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I am under a non-disclosure, so there's little information I can give. But yes, I was involved in the disputes between the contractor and the owner on that project.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then we were also amazed at the synchronicity we had in our relationship about casinos, because you are also the casino turnaround expert.
I worked on casinos from 1995 to 2020, so about 25 years. In that time frame, I mainly worked as a owner's representative for the large casinos.
Yeah, and then you and Dominic Sutton talked about casino construction, because that's what Dominic comes from, that world also. So intriguing how the things just, all the dots meet, which is your company, C-Dots, because you connect all the dots.
Right. Nine Dots is all about thinking out of the box. There's an old cognitive science test about connecting 9 dots together with 4 straight lines, and you have to be able to think outside the box to do it. And typically they ask for you to do it in about 30 seconds. And so 9 dots is all about applying all the problem solving and critical thinking and attention to detail that construction teaches you throughout the years to other industries and to other executives within the industry. Every executive has something that keeps them up at night. And so 9 dots is all about solving those problems that keep people up at night.
Well, and the crazy thing about those, even keeping people up at night, is they have to identify really what is it that's keeping you up, right? It isn't usually the thing that's in your face. It's the thing that's around the mountain. And that's where your brilliance comes in and says, well, what's on the other side of the mountain that you think is going to get you? Because that's really what it's about.
I think there's 2 things there. There's the what's on the other side of the mountain, and are you being candid and honest with yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of, human nature doesn't like to criticize itself. And so that's part of the focus here, is being able to candidly identify what the real problems are. And it's very interesting, and I get a wide array of inquiries from. I've mediated in merger and acquisition. I've mediated ESOP employee past owner issues. So it's really interesting. Um,
Yeah.
and people call with the most interesting challenges, and they're typically challenges that they don't want to tell an underling because or confide in an underling, because underlings are typically politically looking for a way to gain your job, nor
Hmm.
do they want to look uh, naive or insignificant to their superiors. And
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
this case, with the CEO, the board is their superiors, and then all the lower vice presidents, senior vice presidents, all the other C-suite are politically looking for a way to take your job. So it's
Hmm.
interesting that CEOs are hung out there with nobody to talk to and nobody to help them solve their issues. And
Hmm.
the personality of a CEO is a quick decision maker and um, basically the appearance of knowing everything.
Hmm. That's so scary. No one knows everything. I'm just going to say breaking news, right? Oh my gosh,
Right.
to have a
just
council around you is priceless.
just look at the companies that are filing bankruptcy and their stock is going in the toilet.
Yeah, yeah, no such thing. Yeah. Okay, so question. So the interesting thing, we're solving the biggest challenge in construction, which is collaboration, transparency, accountability. Everything you just described is the challenge of getting is becoming part of the project, because everyone does no, wait a minute, let me articulate this differently. The experience is the people that we're going to and saying, oh, look, we can help solve all these problems. They don't want the owner to know that these problems aren't solved. Like they want them to be like, oh, we've got this handled. Wait a minute, what does she do? Wait, what? You mean like you want this to be collaborative and audit ready? It's just like they look at you like you're foreign. One of our clients we went into at an airport, this is the gospel truth. They brought the general contractor in the meeting, which is fine. And the lady sat there with this spiral notebook and she had written down every submittal. I'm like, who else is reading your spiral notebook? Oh, well, no one. I just have it all organized. Okay, how's that working for you? You know what I'm saying? But that's human nature. You just totally, in a nutshell, did it right there. That's 100%. Yeah, that's interesting. So what does a day in your life look like?
A day in my life looks like calling on CEOs and setting up meetings to present possibilities.
Hmm.
My Nine Dots has been extremely difficult to market because typically someone who's made it to the top rung is not going to say, "Hey, yeah, I got a problem. Can you help me with the
Hmm.
problem?"
Hmm. Hmm.
And if they have a problem, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, we can handle this."
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
part of it is crisis management also, because the people who engage me are typically in crisis. They're typically
Hmm.
they've either delayed too long or they made a incorrect assumption and are heading down a path of destruction.
Hmm.
And
Well, go ahead.
my
I'm sorry.
my my business coach labeled me a battlefield commander dropped into a hot zone. And that's where I enjoy being. I enjoy
Hmm.
being in the chaos and forging the path out of that chaos to a positive outcome. That's what I
Hmm.
enjoy doing. So that's what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Well, and I think there's also a caveat to that. You have like an amazing family. So you're like, okay, I can be in chaos. And then you turn around and you're like, oh, wait a second. I got peace here because I have this amazing family that supports and loves me, which is so important, right? Because you can be a battlefield
Yes.
a commander, but you have to have your safe spot. And that when we met, it was very clear that you have this amazing relationships with your family that is just beautiful. So I think that is probably what gives you the ability to walk into chaos knowing that, oh, there's an exit here, I'm walking out and this is where I'm going to land. Because that's really what it's all about, right? There's just not enough of that
Absolutely.
time. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
100%. That's what it's all about in my book. But fortunately for our world, we get to go into chaos, and if we have the background, we can turn around and go, oh, peace for a second. Okay, question. So what can you say what projects you're working on now, or is that like high class secret?
The projects I'm working on now, I'm working as an expert witness in their large disputes. And so, no, they're not, I can't say who they are.
Yeah.
But one of them is a $160 million wind farm
Mm,
where they had huge schedule problems and
mm-hmm,
didn't have anything to do with the pandemic, didn't have anything to do with supply chain problems.
mm-hmm,
It mainly had to do with mismanagement and lack of readily available information.
mm-hmm,
And I know that's what you specialize in.
mm-hmm,
And the challenge in here is actually getting the information, because the general superintendent goes, "Hey, Bob, how's it going on number 33? Oh, great, we're moving along great. Yeah,
mm-hmm,
the tower
mm-hmm,
hadn't even arrived. The
mm-hmm,
electrical's not there. The
mm-hmm,
What do you mean we're moving along great? You're 4 weeks behind schedule." But
mm-hmm,
if the superintendent's not diligent to go out there and look at it, and this was a 10,000 acre site, so it's not like the general superintendent's just going to drive around and check everything out. He has to rely on his people
mm-hmm,
to give him accurate information.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
if you trust your people, which everybody wants to trust everyone, if you
mm-hmm.
trust your people, you're often not getting accurate information,
Yeah,
which is
fact.
which is unfortunate and sad, but it happens.
Mm-hmm,
And so viable information, the old cliche, um, knowledge is power,
mm-hmm,
is accurate. You need to
mm-hmm,
know accurate
mm-hmm,
information at the right times to properly manage a project.
mm-hmm. We find the thing, I mean, because again, we're third party custodians, we manage all the documentation. But what's been the sadness for me? I mean, we started this thinking we were helping the subcontractor so that he could do his job and dig his hole and not have to redig it and then have to pay for the redig because he didn't have the right information the first time. But anyway, the thing that gets me the most is the document manipulation that contractors try to manipulate the documents and no one knows they've been manipulated unless we're the gatekeeper. So the meeting minutes, even the meeting minutes are so priceless, because when you audit those meeting minutes and they say, oh, we have an updated schedule, and we don't have the updated schedule. No, you don't. Because if we don't have it, no one else has it. So it's just the chaos and confusion. And I think the illusion is that you're going to say, well, I'm not going to be friends if I ask you for this data, because it's still in that construction world. They want to be good old boys. Well, let's just trust each other. Well, how about if we trust each other and verify? I don't know. Sounds like a good idea to me, because all the lives that are on these projects are impacted. You know what I mean? It's not just the friend that you think you have, it's all of the lives on the project, all the subcontractors, which now we have a huge problem with finding subcontractors, because the story is, well, whatever the story is they got put out of business because of the document disasters. They can't manage that any longer. So that's my soapbox. I don't know. I feel like I have a soapbox. You know what I mean?
Well, put another lift under that box, because I think you're right on.
Yeah. I'm
Rela-
trying to go
the
ahead. I'm sorry.
construction industry is all about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about relationships, and that's what makes the construction industry move forward. However, the personality that of the person, based on human nature, that enters into the construction market and takes on the risk and takes on the chaos and takes on the challenges of the construction industry, also is somewhat narcissistic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult to have a true relationship. I
Mm-hmm.
I was I was talking, I know you've experienced this in your career, But I was talking to one of my clients the other day, and we've been working with this guy for 20 years. I mean, we've had the greatest relationship in the world. And then he turns around and sues me for half the project value. It's everything, the relationship trembles along as long as there's not enough money or not enough risk on the line. And after that, everyone backs into their corner. When I had my construction management firm, one of the discussions I would have is the three-legged stool. There's the owner, there's the contractor, and there's designer. Everybody is friends before they sign the contract and stick a shovel in the dirt. As soon as that happens, everyone back.
But you know what else I've seen is the turf wars. So this one large company we're working with, they specifically wrote my name out of the contract with the city. They're like, oh no, you cannot use her. Well, I mean, what a privilege. This huge corporation's worried about me. But then so of course the city's like, no, this is the way we're going to run the project. You can do it or not, but she's in the project. That's it. And I thought, well, that's awesome. But then once the project started, everybody's got turf wars. Oh, well, now the conversation is, oh, well, they don't have proper leadership. Well, we're the only ones that have proper leadership, and our leadership. Well, here's how that all works out. Collaborate with transparency and accountability. And that conversation goes away, right? Because then we know what's going on. But I was flying on the airplane. I don't even know where I was going, somewhere recently. And I always know, I fly Southwest, so I know who all the contractors are because they have a look. They either have a look of like, oh my God, or they have their shirt on that says, hey, I'm a contractor. So of course I sit next to this gentleman and he's like, oh, so I noticed your jacket. What's MySmartPlans? I'm like, well, this is what we do. And he told me the company he worked for. I go, I actually give your company the hives. I mean, I think Benadryl's probably at the meetings. He's like, well, my company's a large organization. I'm well aware. And so then he starts telling me all the problems. He's like, you should see how we have to do this. And I mean, nobody has information governance. We can't find anything. It's just terrible. I'm like, really? Huh? So you can't really control your employees to tell it like it is whenever they get in certain situations. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, we can fix this problem. Hello. And plus their bottom line is like increased. I don't know. Some of our studies are like 20%, but who knows what the real number is? Because if you don't have litigation, what's that number, right? Peace of mind. Where do you quantify that?
It's all supposition.
Yeah. Well, I don't even understand. What's supposition? Is that interpretation?
It's all based on.
Oh, based on. Okay. I didn't get that one in school. Okay. Well, so we love your time. We know it's valuable. We're gonna put this all together, and I hope anyone that has any questions, especially the Corps of Engineers, you should be on every Corps of Engineers project because they're putting all the small businesses out of business.
Right.
And they laugh about it like it's, oh, it's just, we have this and whatever. Excuse me, you're putting all of the people that are doing the work out of business so that you can somehow have a delusion that you know something different. So I'm gonna keep bringing your name up in our meetings and be like, you guys know Paul Davis? Paul Davis. Hello, why is not Paul Davis on your project? Because I mean,
well, I
it's the fact finders that show up, right? You're like, Mr. Caluso, excuse me, I can tell you what's going on. Do you really want to hear it? I don't know. If it's not your money, they don't really always want to hear it. You know what I mean? Because who's going to fire somebody at the Corps of Engineers?
I think it's more a Columbo approach. Just one more question. Just one more question.
Yes. Let me just ask you, and the way you do it with your tone, just one more thing. Yeah, It's true. It's just one more thing. Oh my gosh. Well, we appreciate your time. And again, it's been a pleasure knowing you. I love the text. Oh, especially a text the other day. I'm like, oh, Paul, you're like crazy on liking all my LinkedIn stuff. You're like, you're an idiot. I'm not liking any of your stuff. I'm like, but you are. So I sent you a screenshot. You're like, that is not my name, Shelly, but it was a guy named Paul, right? So I think of Paul, I think of you. So, I mean, you've already impacted my psyche.
I know. It's like, it's like the Bruce Club from Monty Python.
I don't know, but I'm like, oh, that is not you. Excuse me, sir. I mean, delete, pretend like I did not just text you, but you can like my stuff.
I do.
I know you do. I know. Okay. Well, have a fabulous, amazing day. Tell your family hello, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Sounds great. Thank you both.
Bye-bye.